Hello everyone, today we're going to go through how easy it is to integrate with Border0 and have your engineers securely access remote SSH servers within your infrastructure. With Border0, you get single sign-on for authentication. You can use an existing directory service, something like Okta or Active Directory, and you'll get to easily manage all this from a single admin dashboard to apply flexible access policies. And of course, with Border0, you'll get full auditability with recordings of every single remote access session and all the commands and interactions that happened. In short, I'm going to show you how you not only get better security, but also make it super easy and friction-free for your team to access stuff. Let's get into it. Okay, this is the scenario we have. We have a Google Cloud Platform private VPC with several hosts that run workloads or other functions within your private infrastructure. For configuration and command and control of these, engineers often need SSH access to them. For a demo, we'll focus on SSH Server 1 and SSH Server 2, but you can imagine many hundreds or thousands within your private network. By the way, I'm running on Google GCP here, but you do have the ability to do the same thing exactly on AWS's VPCs, on Azure, with OCI, with Oracle, or your own private data center. In fact, we have a deeper integration with AWS and DigitalOcean with some options with CloudFormation and such. Check some of those things out on some of our other videos and on our Border0 website. Continuing with this demo, here we have example end users here. We have Jessica, who's on the support team, and let's say we have Jeff, who is a contractor. And they both need SSH access to these servers 1 and 2 to get their job done. As designed, these SSH servers do not permit external access from the internet and only have private IP addresses they accept traffic on. There are many ways to solve this, but the easiest and most secure is to add a Border0 connector within the VPC. Once installed and enrolled with Border0 HQ, it automatically pulls your specific organization's configuration and policies and acts as a connectivity bridge and border agent to check identities, enforce policies, and report session logs and any other audit information for every session. Powerful stuff and super secure. It's important to note that this connector does not need to have firewall rules open to it widely from the internet either. It just needs the ability to reach out to the Border0 network, and the rest of the connectivity is brokered automatically between your specific clients and your sockets and resources and your SSH servers. Let's get into the demonstration of how we would install a Border0 connector easily within your infrastructure. So I have here a new VM instance that will act as my Border0 connector. It's configured just like my other VMs with custom admin user, and we're using an SSH private key pair for authentication. I also have temporarily allowed TCP/22 SSH from my public IP to set up this Border0 connector here. So I'm just going to SSH to it, reaching Google. There we go. Now, once I'm on that VM, I will just go to my Border0 connector section and say I want to add a new connector. And in this case, I'll just say Linux. And I'm just going to copy this enrollment command here. And I'll go ahead and paste that into the VM here for my Border0 connector. And you'll see that within a few seconds, it's just going to go green because it has dialed home and has enrolled itself. There we go. So we have a new B0 connector that's there as far as continuing on with our build. So let's review where we're at. So we've created this new connector here, and we want to connect to server 1 and server 2. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go to sockets in the portal, and I'm going to say SSH, and I will use my own, and I'm going to call it SSH Server 1, and I'm going to use SSH private key, and the username is admin. In my case, I am going to copy in the private key. This is a one-time setup thing here for each of these hosts, and then I'm going to copy the internal IP address for the host name 22. Okay, so that's server 1. And the other thing I'm going to need is to link it to this B0 connector that we just created. Okay, so we've given Border0 everything it needs to know about how to establish connection to SSH Server 1. To verify, I can click on this connect here. Yeah, using Okta. So there we go. It's just verified myself and I'm in. There we go. So this is SSH Server 1. Okay, let's continue on with the build. So we did SSH Server 1. Let's do SSH Server 2. I'm just going to hit create. I will use my own server. Okay, leave everything else as is. SSH private key, host name. Let's go back to our VM instances. So I'm going to copy that internal private IP. It's port 22. It's admin. And I'm going to go back here and paste in my private key for that admin user, and we're going to pick Border0 connector. There we go. Create a new socket. So let's verify this one works as well. If I hit connect, beautiful, I'm in there. Admin server 2. Okay, so as an admin, I'm able to get in. Now let's start setting up Jessica and Jeff to be able to access them as well. So the support team, the team that Jessica's on, she's able to access server 1 and server 2. Jeff's able to access just server 2 as a contractor. So let's go ahead and create some policies. Let's create a new policy called support team policy. And policies can get pretty powerful and it's very flexible and everything. For this case, I'm going to leave everything as is, and I'm just going to go in here and go to allowed groups. Now we have contractor group and support group imported already via Skim and integrated with Okta, so that's great. So support team policy and then allowed group support, and yeah, I think that looks great. So I'm going to hit create new policy. Now I'm going to click on access graph here to just confirm to see if we got what we need. Okay, so I think the people looks good. So Jessica is part of support group, and then this is part of the support team policy. But I see what's missing is that we need the sockets associated with this as well. So this is where we click on sockets here, and I'm gonna say, yeah, I think for this policy we want SSH server 1 access, SSH server 2 access. I'm gonna hit save here. I'm gonna verify again and looking at the access graph so we can visually see what's happening. So there we go. We got the group that has been attached to this team policy, and then the 2 sockets. By the way, if you're confused why there's 2 Alvins here, I think I imported one on Skim and the other is my local Border0 account as well. So that's why it has it twice. Okay, so we've got that policy. Let's build the other policy for contractors. I'm just gonna simply call it contractor team policy. And I'm going to be doing it very similarly. Contractors is the group that I want. I'm going to say create policy. This time I'll add the socket right away. Actually, it's only the one, right? SSH server 1 for Jeff and the contractors. I'll hit save and let's try it out. Logging in as Jessica and as a Jeff to see what they would see. So I'm just going to log in as, let's say, Jessica first here. So I'll just go to client.border0.com and then I'll type in my organization, in which case it's Algorithm. I'm going to continue on with Okta. It's going to ask me for my username. I'm just going to say I am Jessica Smith. And because I'm authing with Okta, I'm just going to use a push notification here. There we go. So this is what an end user engineer might see as logging into the client portal, that there's SSH server 1 and server 2 available to them to get into via the web GUI. So if I click on one of them, it just drops me right in. There you go. I'm in there as Jessica. And if I click on SSH server 2, let's confirm that works. Yes, I'm able to get in as well. Okay, that's fantastic. And we're going to log in as Jeff instead. Now remember, Jeff only has the one SSH server that you can access. Oh, actually, I think I see a mistake here. I said SSH server 1 for Jeff, but I think for our diagram, he's only allowed to SSH server 2. So I'm going to modify this very quickly. I'm going to click on sockets. I'm going to change this to server 2, save that. Okay, now I think we've got that right. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in as Jeff. There we go, and perfect. So I'm logged in as Jeff, and I only see SSH Server 2. Let's confirm we can get in. There we go, we got in. Nice. So Jeff is in this server, and if you do ls, you can see there was a file that was written by Jessica. That was sometime before, perhaps. Now let's say, we're going to be doing a bunch of commands. Let's say Jeff goes ahead and deletes this file from Jessica, and then he somehow cats the etc password file. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. We'll exit, and that was Jeff's session. And the reason I'm doing all that is just to illustrate to you the power of Border0 and the auditability and full visibility that you have. So now if I'm back at the admin portal, if I go to sessions here again, if I look at Jeff's session that just happened, you can see a video replay tab or a text replay tab. I'm just going to click play on this video replay tab, and then you can literally see what he was seeing and what was entered and what was happening on the terminal, which is going to look very interesting from a security kind of review process. Perhaps this is a sensitive file that he's maybe removing here. And yeah, there you go, the RM Jessica text, and then, catting an etc password. That's also, potentially suspicious of why someone would want to do that. So that's it. You can do that way, or if you just wanted to have a quick look, you can just scroll through the text replay here, and you can see all that information of what happened. The other cool thing with Border0 is you can revoke access, and it works in near real time. So let's log against Jeff again. So I'm going into SSH Server 1. So I'm in as Jeff, I'm in the service. Now, if I modify the policy for the contractor team for Jeff, and I go ahead and remove that SSH server, now if I go back there, and if I was Jeff and I was still in the server, it works for a maximum of 60 seconds, and then the session is terminated. There you go, it has terminated. So this is very powerful in that you have a single point of control of your various servers, and in fact a lot of the policy changes work in near real time. And in the audit logs you can see what was done, the policies that were updated, so you also have that level of auditability and checking to see what happened with the system. And you can do all this with the single dashboard from Border0. Okay, I hope that helps give you an idea of the power and simplicity of how to enroll a connector and get access to SSH services and protect them using powerful policies. We saw some integration with users and groups. Actually, in this case, we were integrated with Okta for our authentication and also for our directory services. The connector was super easy to install with the single command that you just had to apply, so it enrolled centrally. And then from then on, we were just a few mouse clicks away from setting up what we needed to for the infrastructure. The users authed as themselves with single sign-on. They did not have to fumble around and look for the shared public or private keys for the admin user there, and everything that was done was fully auditable. Thanks for joining us again, and I hope you'll join us next time for more information on how to make your remote access more secure and friction-free.